Hi, this is Steph. Wanted to do a video on since we're getting into gardening season, and I'm talking like food gardening. I mean, I grow flowers and things too, but um, I just, with food prices the way they are, and um, if you have any space at all, um, I highly recommend trying to. I mean, I realize not everyone. If you live in an apartment or something, you're not going to have chickens. But I've heard other people say you can get quails uh, and keep them indoors. And I don't know much about that. I've barely know about anything about keeping chickens. But technically, where I live, even though I live in Amish country, rural PA, the way my township is zoned, I'm not allowed to have chickens because I'm on this side of the road, the main road, which is actually a state highway. It was just a two-lane, it's not like a highway. But on the other side of the road, there's a farm, because you can actually hear not the roosters, but you can hear the chickens clucking. But because I'm on this side of the road, oh no, it's illegal for me to have chickens. Well, if I can get chickens this summer, I'm getting them, and I'm going to enlist. I'm either going to figure out a way to buy a coop. I found one for like $200. I can't really afford that. I can't afford much of anything. But, my account's always overdrawn, and so if it's overdrawn till the day I die, well, oh well. But anyway, either that or I'm going to enlist my neighbor across the road. The young guy, he comes over and helps me with stuff, and I have a bunch of pallets that Mike had stacked up out back, and see if we can figure out how to build something, or I'd like to make some raised beds with the pallets. So we'll see, but we moved in here August 2018. I don't remember if it was beginning or end of August, but I mean, we didn't put a garden in until the next year because we were at the end of the season. But now, we had lived in a bunch of rental places, some houses, some apartments, and so I could never put in an actual garden, but I couldn't even grow a tomato in a pot, in a big planter. I mean, I might get one or two little puny tomatoes. But the first year, we had a guy. He was nice enough he was helping our neighbor over here. Part of his driveway got washed away because our township is so great with the sewer system. The runoff, the water goes everywhere except through the pipes. When it rains, deluges here, it just comes right down the road, and then it piles up like on the end of my driveway, and then it goes into his. But anyway, the guy came over with a little, I don't know what they're called. It's just a little, it's just a little boxy thing, but it has like the scoopy thing on it. And he came over and he just scraped the grass off a big chunk of our yard, and that was our garden for the first year. I mean, it was no amending. I don't even know if we had a tiller yet. I think we might have tilled it, but I'm not sure. We might have just dug it up with a shovel and, broke up the ground a little bit. But we put a couple tomatoes in, and we had a late frost, and we looked at our tomatoes, and they looked dead. I mean, they looked absolutely dead, but I didn't pull them out. I thought, well, I'm just going to let them sit in there and see what happens. I didn't think they would come back, but boy, did they come back. And when they did, they were huge, and we had just tomatoes. We couldn't give them all away. I mean, we just had so many tomatoes. It was unbelievable, and they were big. Now, I did not start those from seed. I'm lucky. I have, I live in like Amish Mennonite area, and I don't have any right in my neighborhood or in my little section. But if you go like 10, 15 minutes to a next town, there's Amish there, and then the town where my mother grew up, there's Mennonite and Amish over in that direction. But there's a greenhouse there, and it's huge, and they sell all kinds of flowers and all kinds of veggies, and I lose my mind in there. But I get a seedling, like say a melon, say a honeydew melon. I'll get a seedling. They used to be 50 cents, and then I think the last 2 years or so they had to take the price up to like 75 cents. But out of that one seedling, you get tons and tons of melons. So I usually buy like 4, or I'll seed my own here. And but I like to buy a couple and then also seed a couple, because that way, if one that I buy from the nursery dies, or if the ones that I'm starting from seeds, if they don't take, or if they do, I just put whatever I end up with, I just put it all in the same bed, and they just grow all over each other, and they'll still produce melons. Sometimes you have to get in there and kind of dig through all the greenery to find them, but when we first moved in here, and we decided we wanted to put a big garden in. I mean, that's specifically why we bought this property, is because it's the house isn't big, the property is. It's about an acre, and so my house doesn't take up a whole lot of space. But we'd already talked about that we wanted to start growing food and things like that. And we wanted to have chickens, till I found out that, the way my township is zoned, oh no, you can't have chickens here. You have to live on the other side of the road. But the heck with the ordinances. If I can get chickens, I'm getting chickens somehow. But the thing is, I just thought I'm never going to be able to grow all this stuff, because I don't have a green thumb for, I did with flowers, but not so much with veggies. And when those tomatoes came back from the dead, it seemed, and they started growing with a vengeance, I mean, it just was mind-blowing. And I forget what else we had growing that year. I think we put potatoes in. I don't remember. That was, that's pretty long ago. But so after 5 years of gardening now, every year I try to add a little more, a couple more types of things that I haven't grown before. And right now, I have, pardon the water, but I have beans soaking in here, yellow and green beans. And this is the first year I'm trying these things. These are GrowMed seed starter pellets. I got these off Amazon. And they're cool. They're just these little discs, and you put them in the water. You can just pile a bunch of them up, float them in the water, and I'll show you in a second here. And they just expand up, and they're big enough that they can grow pretty substantially till you put them in the ground. Or if you need to, you can just take that whole thing, put it in a little bit bigger pot till it's ready to go in the ground. So I am starting seeds right now. I have a little mini greenhouse. I'd love to have a greenhouse out back, but I can't afford one of those. But I just have a little teeny one that a former neighbor gave to us when he moved out. And I have that up in my upstairs bathroom right now. I took the curtain down so the sun comes in, and as I get the seeds going, I just transfer them up to that little greenhouse in the bathroom. Gets lots of natural light, because it's on the front end. No, I'm sorry. It's on, I always get mixed up. When you go up the steps, our house is weird, because like the downstairs faces one way, and then the upstairs like goes the other direction. So yeah, my bathroom is actually on the front, faces the front of the house. So yeah, it's got a southern exposure. So anyway, this is how this will continue to expand. It'll probably get up to about there. But these are nice, because like I said, they're a good size. You just stick the seed down in there and make sure you cover up about a 1/4 inch of dirt over top the seed, and then put it in the sun, keep them moist, and they're ready to go. So, but I'm a person, I like to cut corners with money, and right now I absolutely have to. And when we bought this property, we didn't realize that our whole backyard is a swamp, because there's a natural spring up on the ridge here. So when that spring's running, it obviously runs downhill and right into our backyard, and everything is standing water, and then it runs into the neighbors' yards, and they all moan and complain about it, but It's not originating from our property. And I called the township, and they said, well, it's a natural spring, and it can't be diverted. Well, yeah, it's cracking the foundation, it's cracking the floor and out in the garage, and that's no big deal. If it destroys our property, who cares? But you can't like put a pipe in, maybe divert it down into the ditch over there that serves as a sewer runoff. But whatever. That would be the perfect spot to put a greenhouse out there. But it's basically like almost half an acre that sits out there and just doesn't get used for anything. But anyway, I just wanted to give, like, if you want to start a garden, don't get all intimidated and think you have to go through all these really complicated things and all this soil amendment. I mean, there's a guy I watched who does no dig gardening, and I'm gonna put another bed in up on the side of my house here. You just put cardboard down. You want to take the tape off. It doesn't matter if it has like ink and writing on it, but you take any tape off of it and overlap any ends, obviously because the weeds will grow up in between. And you can use them in any kind of bed. Last year I went around and I put cardboard down in every single flower bed and vegetable bed, and that saved so much on the weeding. I mean, I used to spend like half the summer just weeding this entire place. So, and there's a Dollar General right up the road here, and they're more than happy for me to come up and take as many boxes as I want. So, but for the no dig, you just put a layer of cardboard down. And you can put several layers down. Like if you have grass, which is what I'm going to do. So I don't have to scrape the grass off. I don't have to till it. Nothing. We'll put cardboard down and put compost on top of it, and then you're ready to put your seedlings right in it. It's very simple. It's not a lot of hard work. And I'm lucky. There's a landfill right up the road from me. It's like a minute ride. And it's not organic soil, but people can take like their grass clippings and that sort of stuff up there, and they put it in a big pile. And you get really, really nice, deep, dark soil. It's just that sometimes you pull part of a flip-flop or, a little piece of a tin can or something out of it. So I'm not exactly how that stuff gets in there, but it's $10 for a great big, like, bulldozer type thing, the thing they use to push the garbage into wherever it goes. And it's an enormous, I don't know how much it weighs, but when it goes on our trailer, that trailer's like a lowrider then, but it's a substantial amount of dirt for $10. Now, where you live, if you have a landfill, or a place where you can get, a big bulk of like compost or dirt, that's how I save money. And one year, Mike and I were living in an apartment, and I was putting some flowers in pots, and I remember he came outside and he said, "What are you going to do for dirt next year?" And I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean, what am I going to do for dirt?" He said, "Well, your dirt's going to be old." I said, "Well, yeah, dirt kind of naturally is old because it's just stuff that decomposes and it turns into dirt." But I have grow bags and all kinds of pots, and I just reuse the dirt. The only thing I'll do is, we started a compost pile out here as soon as we moved in. I keep a bucket right outside my kitchen door out back, and I put like kitchen scraps and coffee grounds and that kind of stuff in there. And then when it gets partially full, I lug it up and put it on the main compost pile. And it cuts down a lot on my garbage. But the only thing I'll do is I'll get a little compost and I'll just mix it in with the dirt from the previous year. And I just keep reusing it because, I mean, dirt is dirt as far as I'm concerned, and my results are fine. But as far as saving money or if you want to start growing some stuff, don't get all wrapped up in, well, I have to have all the perfect tools and the perfect spot, and go to thrift shops. Look for, like, you can buy those tower planters. Now, I've never used one. I'm keeping an eye out for one at a hopefully I live in thrift shop heaven out here, so I'm hoping maybe I can find one. I'd like to grow my herbs. I grow like dill and lemongrass and oregano and all kinds of stuff. So that's a space saver. And if you can buy stuff at a thrift shop, it's obviously a money saver. If you can find pallets, you can always take them apart. You can build all kinds of stuff with pallets. As far as growing, if you don't have a nursery anywhere near you like I do, you know, I don't like buying stuff from like Tractor Supply or Lowe's or whatever. I mean, if that's all you can get your hands on. But if you can buy seeds, I like Johnny's Seed Company. And if you like cantaloupe, the one I plant every year it's called Divergent. It's an organic cantaloupe. And you'll get skin, and then the flesh of the fruit like goes right up to the skin. You don't get that thick whatever, like rind on the inside. And they are so sweet, and I grow tons of them. And like I said, I used to try to grow like just some tomatoes and peppers in a pot, and I couldn't even do that. But so you can use cardboard. Like I said, if you don't have a tiller, you have a bad back or whatever, and you just have a little space, put some cardboard down. If you can't get dirt cheap like I do from up at the landfill, buying bags of organic soil can get pricey. But once it's down, I mean, all you have to do is amend it with a little bit of compost. I mean, that's what I do. Because initially we bought bags and bags and bags of organic soil to put in all our garden beds. But it's worth the initial expense. I don't buy like Miracle-Gro potting soil and put my vegetables in that, because I don't want the roots. The ground is bad enough. I don't need them sucking up all the extra chemicals. But check thrift shops. Like I said, if you have some kind of store around, I'm sure you can get cardboard boxes. And to make a garden bed, like I said, just put the cardboard down, put the dirt on top of it, you're ready to garden. If you can make a little compost, even if you do it in a bucket or like a small garbage can, or you just something with a lid, you can make your own compost and then just amend it a little bit. Each year, I grow a lot of stuff in grow bags. I think I have about 30 or 40 grow bags. And they're nice because you can move them around. If you start them, you put them in one place one year, and next year maybe you have a little more space. You want to put something in a different spot, and they're nice. They're a lot easier because you just have to open the bag and dump some dirt in it and put your plant in, and there you go. And we always made our own mulch. Now this year I don't know, because it's about 100 and I always forget what the price is. I think it was like around 160, 157, or it's 175 to rent the chipper. But we would always get it on a Friday and a Friday afternoon. So we were technically renting it for Saturday, but since they're closed Sunday, we'd have it for the whole weekend and take it back Monday morning or Sunday night and just drop it off. But I have a huge pile of branches out there, and it's taken up my entire potato bed. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to buy a chipper or rent the chipper. But if you can, just pile up branches, and if you can get a chipper, you can make your own mulch, and it doesn't have any kind of coating. It's just branches and stuff that fall off our trees, or if we cut it. We used to cut trees down for the neighbors. I won't be doing that by myself, but unless it's a real small tree. But so I save on the mulch, everything. Let's see. Last year we really needed more space, and so we went up to the Dollar General. We bought 2 kiddie pools. Now I know they're not designed for food, but hey, it's certainly better than going to the grocery store and getting GMO'd and sprayed and glyphosate and all kinds of garbage. And you just don't know what you're getting. So I have plastic bins, real big ones that I use. Cardboard box. Now it'll only last you like 1 or 2 seasons, because when they get rained on, you know, and when you're watering stuff, the cardboard tends to disintegrate. But for like 1 season, I just put big boxes out, and we put bungee cords around them, and we put the dirt in, and it worked just fine. Now I have quite a few piles of dirt I need to clean up and put them in another box, but you can get your hands on a box somewhere pretty cheap. I mean, for free. I'm sorry, I'm like babbling here. And also, if you buy any big plants like rose bushes and you know, trees, things like that, they come in pretty big containers. Save them, or maybe your neighbors have some, or maybe even garden centers. I've never asked, because I bought so many plants when we moved in here. I had so many plant containers because I saved absolutely everything. But they're good. They're great for like tomato plants, peppers, eggplant, whatever. Just tons of ways to save money. You don't need big fancy greenhouses. You don't need to be doing all this amending and fertile. I mean, I do use an organic fertilizer. I put a little handful. It's like these are gray pellets. I put a little handful in with each seedling. And I also have fish emulsion, which is really, really disgusting, and it smells terrible, especially in the heat of summer. But your plants like it. And it's not that expensive, and you don't need to use a whole lot. So, oh, I wanted to mention, if you want to grow like potatoes, I know a lot of people, like, I was kind of intimidated about growing potatoes, and I don't know why, but these are so easy, and they're kind of a staple. These I bought, they're non-GMO at least, and these are less than perfect, so they're cheaper, and I don't eat that much, so these have already started to chit themselves, and I don't know why it's called chitting, but that's chitting or sprouting, and this is a step you don't have to take, but it makes it a little easier for me because I know which end goes up, because you don't want to put the stem part. In other words, you don't want to plant them. If you don't chit them first and you put them in the wrong way, well, then they're going to sprout, and you're not going to get the potato because the greenery needs to come up out of the dirt. But when you chit them, you want to get about that size, not really any bigger. I have a whole bunch of potatoes from last year. I thought I brought one out here. Well, anyway, I have potatoes in my bin where this has gotten to be like this long. And last year we had a bunch left over from the previous year, and we just threw them in with our seed potatoes. And the only thing that happens, even though they're all shriveled up and the stem is like this long, is we just got smaller potatoes, which is good for like stew, or, you know, you can even chop them up and fry them up with eggs or something. But this is a step you don't necessarily have to take, and you can grow these in bags. You can put them in trenches. You just want to make sure that they're always covered with dirt, because when the sun gets on them and they're growing, they'll turn green. And if it's just a little bit of green, we've eaten them, and we never got sick. But if the whole potato is green, it gets like some kind of poisonous thing, and you don't want to eat it. But again, I chit them only because it's easier when I plant them, so I know which end is up. And you will get tons of potatoes. I grow sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, and you can plant store-bought. You don't have to buy like a bag of special seed potatoes, but try to at least find organic, or at the very least non-GMO'd stuff to put in the ground. And just looking, I made a few notes here. I don't know if I mentioned pallets, but if you can go around and get pallets for free, if you need like some free wood to build some planters or whatever. Where I live, there's pallets like everywhere, so a lot of people just give them away because they want them off their property. And I just recently, I was watching something and he gave, I guess he's an affiliate, and he gave a link. It's an app. Now, I don't use a cell phone because I actually wanted to do this with a cell phone because I could go out and walk around in my garden and kind of show you what I do here. But I just typed it in my browser. And it came up Farmish. I typed in Farmish app and it came up farmish.com. Farmish app, or I guess if you go in the Google Play Store or whatever, I guess you can find it as an app. I don't know. I don't use all this stuff, but it's a place where if you grow a lot, or that, like, there's a lady I found out. There's a farm, like maybe 5 minutes up the road from me, and she's selling eggs for $2 a dozen, and they're just chickens that roam around, and they're not all jacked up with all kinds of crap. So I found her, and if I have as much produce this year as I did last, because I'm not giving all this stuff away to my wonderful neighbors who don't even look at me anymore since Mike died, so I'm not going to be quite as generous this year. But I thought if I have an overflow, or, I mean, we had so many watermelons and just melons in general last year. I think half of my front porch was filled up with melons, and I couldn't even give them all away. So a lot of them just went back in compost. But, also, if you can, try to get a dehydrator. We bought a little cheap one the first year, and then last year or the year before, we wanted to kind of upgrade, and I can't think of the name of the brand name, but I looked on Amazon, and it was a brand new dehydrator. The only thing was it had a little ding. It got bumped, but it came in the original plastic. I guess whoever ordered it, they opened it, and they saw this little ding, a little dent on the corner of it. It doesn't affect it, but they knocked, I forget how much money off, but I got this thing dirt cheap. So I'm always looking for a bargain. And I dehydrate tomatoes, a lot of zucchinis. I dehydrate, or I freeze it. In that case, you want to slice it, take like parchment paper and make like layers, put it in the freezer so they freeze individually, and then put them in a bag, put them in your freezer. Because if you put them in like one big clump and freeze them, then they're just gonna like turn to mush. And I learned that with melon. You can't just put a whole bunch of melon in a bag and put it in your freezer, because when you thaw it out, it's just going to be goop. So you want to chop it, freeze it individually on layers with something separating the layers, and then you can put it in bags, or you can dehydrate it. And that just extends all your food, because obviously when you're harvesting like 10 zucchinis a day, you can't eat all that stuff. So you either have to give it away, sell it, or have a way to preserve it. So I like dehydrating, and I like freezing a lot of this stuff. But if you get that Farmish app, or if you just type it in your browser, because all I use is this little laptop, it'll come up, and you can type in your state, and you can find local producers or local farmers. So I was happy about that, because like I said, if I'm start growing a whole lot, I am probably going to use that app and try to just sell locally here, because I can sell it a lot cheaper than people have to buy it in the store. But you don't have to get all fancy. I mean, like I said, that first year we just scraped the grass off and threw stuff in the ground, and everything grew just fine. And then we started getting fancier with the tilling and the amending and the compost and all this, and I mean, that stuff still grows good. But I'm just saying, if you want to start growing food, and if you have a little space to do it, then just get out there and do it. Even if you just do it in containers, or if you buy some grow bags, go on Amazon, find like the cheapest ones you can get. I just use the 5-gallon. They're a nice size for one plant. Be creative, and just don't let it intimidate you, because it's fun, it's really rewarding, and nothing tastes better than something you pluck out of your own backyard garden for dinner. Um, so, like I said, I just wanted to give people some ideas on how to save money and not lose your mind and think you have to have a big fancy greenhouse and have all this gardening know-how, and because you really don't. And the more stuff you grow, it's going to be trial and error. I've put things in the ground and we just didn't get anything. But I learned that, oh, well, that's like a cold weather crop, and we just put it in the wrong time of year or what have you. But those are little things you learn along the way. But I can't urge people enough to shy away from trying to grow something. And so I hope that was helpful. I've, as usual, I went way longer than I wanted to here, but it's something I really enjoy, and I just think it's something we all need to get back to basics. It's just my opinion. So I hope that was helpful in some way. Thanks. Bye.